behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Paul Mash TV. Paul Mash TV.
Well, hello there. It's Paul Mash TV time again. We're glad that you could join us today. We got another great interview coming up for you in just a minute. But before we get into that, feel free to subscribe as always and hit the bell, and you're always going to get the latest interviews notified to you. And feel free to use the comment section. We'd love to hear from you there as well. And if you want to email us, it's paulmashtv, all one word, at gmail.com. And you can use that not just if you're a band or solo artist, but if you're simply a fan as well. Just send us a line and we'd love to hear from you. And our Facebook page is facebook.com/PaulMashTV. And feel free to like the page, inbox us, comment on the things you see there. And don't forget, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central on Roku channel Small World TV, one of my episodes will be on there. And we're going to recap all that for you at the closing credits on the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. From Detroit, Michigan, we interview Mike Sugg. He's a Toby Keith tribute, and we enjoyed talking a few minutes with him, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So without further ado, let's start the show.
We got history, got me feeling the nostalgia when you look at me, thinking about what could.
All right, everybody, it's interview time, and with us from Detroit, Michigan, we have Mike Sugg. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Paul. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. We're glad to have you here today, and obviously he's a Toby Keith tribute, and we're glad to have all kinds of tributes on our show. And you know, you do look a lot like him. Is that how it started, or does it go deeper than that? Maybe tell us in your own words.
That's exactly how it started. I mean, I had a lot of opportunities. People were coming up to me at restaurants and Home Depot or wherever it was and saying, "Hey, you look like that country singer." Yeah, and it's like I had probably for a year or two. I had a goatee at the time, and Toby was wearing one at the same time too. So I really didn't even know who Toby was. I knew, should have been a Cowboy, the big 2 or 3 songs that he had. But I'm kind of an '80s hair band guy. I like Motley Crue and Van Halen and all that. So never played guitar, never sang or anything, but I'd go to a bar and, hey, there's that Toby guy. They'd ask me to get up and do a song or two. And it's like, well, I better learn some Toby stuff. So that's kind of where it all started from. And then, it was a family vacation out in Colorado. I bought my first straw white cowboy hat. And we came out of the store and I was wearing it, and people started freaking out and they're chasing us and stuff. My wife and I are like, oh, they're snapping pictures. We went to a restaurant that night. People are asking for autographs. And I told everybody, hey, I ain't him. I'm from Detroit. I don't even have a Southern accent or anything. But, it started growing from there. And I did a birthday party and sang some songs. And I learned how to play guitar, took some singing lessons. And, it's been a hell of a ride. We've been doing it for about 8 years now.
Well, that's a long time. I hope you'll be doing it for another 8 or even longer than that, So.
I hope so too. It's a lot of fun. I work construction during the day, and then I own my own construction company. So that's taken its toll on my body. I'm 51 years old now, and it's just, it's hard to carry drywall up and down ladders like I used to when I was 20s. But, hopefully it's kind of like a little semi-retirement thing, go out there and sing some songs and have a good time with people and maybe drink a couple of beers.
Mm. Yeah, you mentioned that song a minute ago. Should have been a Cowboy. Yeah, I remember that song from a long time ago. That was probably one of his good ones.
Yeah, that's the one he'll tell you in every interview that's the song that kicked the door down for him. It's been 26 years now that song came out. It's 1996 or something like that, 90, 94, whatever. So yeah, that was his #1 hit, and then that allowed him to progress into other songs. And he's has always been so patriotic and stuff, supporting the military and doing the USO tours. He'll tell you that he's done over 200 shows and things like that. So he's got the longevity, not like a lot of the new guys that are coming in, they got one hit and then they're out of here. So You know, it's a blessing mostly for me to look like Toby, and then when, you know, progress into the performance part of it, and then, you know, just make that all happen. It's been a hell of a ride. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. Did you? I guess you never met the real Toby, have you?
I've met him twice. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. The
I'm
first
sure.
time
I'm
was
sure he was flattered about that.
well, I got to be careful on how I answer this question because, you know, the first time it was a meet and greet, an actual meet and greet where a buddy of mine had won tickets for a lookalike contest, but he looks like Jason Aldean, not Toby. He just won down in Daytona, Florida, and Toby was there. That was the grand prize, as a meet and greet with Toby Keith. Well, he had just, I don't know, broke up with his girlfriend. He had the extra ticket. He knew that I was, you know, in the industry, so he called me up. And he said, you know, come on down here and we'll meet and greet Toby and we'll see how it goes. So we raised all kinds of hell when we showed up. They thought that I was Toby. Then radio interviews and TV interviews. And I always say I'm not him. But people, you know, outside of that, you know, hearing that, they think that Toby's there, and social media is like Toby's in the, you know, he's in the hot dog stand, and, you know, he's going to the bathroom in the outhouse and all that crap. Well, we got to meet Toby, and we were one of the last groups to go in there, and I got a picture with him, but it was right before he was going on stage. And the handlers, what I call them, is the people that tell you what you can and cannot do. And they said, you can't talk to him. Don't shake his hand unless he talks to you. Don't ask him to sign anything. Don't do anything. You can't take a picture with your camera. We'll take the picture, we'll put it on the website, and you download it. So it's pretty much cattle. You get in there and you got 8 people in your group. You stand there, they smile, snap the picture, and they move you out. So I never got to talk to Toby. I mean, he looked at me and smiled. That was it. And then a couple of years ago, my wife and I were down in Mexico with some friends, and we went to Cowboy, the bar that Sammy Hagar owns down there. And we found through the internet that Sammy was going to be there with a special guest. Well, we went there, and I love Sammy Hagar. Like I said, I'm an 80s hair band guy, the Van Halen and Montrose and all the Sammy stuff, a big fan of his. And it just happened to be Toby Keith at his special guest that night. So when I showed up, they thought that I was the guy, I was Toby. So all the people in the bar thought that I was the one hanging out. I was the Toby guy. Well, tell nobody, I ain't Toby. And after the show, my wife and I went out in the back, and we're standing there, and Sammy Hagar comes out, and he comes right up to me. He's like, hey, Toby. Hey, Sammy, how are you? And we talked for about a minute. And he goes, yeah, Toby's upstairs. He'll be down in a little while. So we stood there for a little bit, and then Toby's wife came out, and I know her because of the internet. I have never met her or anything. I just knew from the photos that that's who it was. She came out, and she's standing there staring at me. All she's doing, like, she's standing there going. So Toby comes out, and the owner of the bar, Have or whatever his name, I forgot his name, but he brings Toby right up to me, and he's like, hey, Toby, this is Mike. This is the guy I met yesterday. He's a real cool guy. So I shook Toby's hand. I'm like, hey, Toby, I didn't want to say I met you a couple of years ago. I mean, he's meet a million people a year. So I'm like, hey, Toby, pleasure to meet you. And he just looked me up and down. And he just smiled, and his wife's still in the background just shaking her head. So he turns around, and I snapped a picture with him. Yeah. And another guy comes over and says, hey, Toby, this is the other guy. And he just walked away, and that was it. So it was 30 seconds. Didn't really talk to him too much. But his wife comes over afterwards, and she leans into me. She goes, that's pretty freaky. So I thought that was pretty neat. And then they got in the car, and they drove away, and that was it. So we crossed paths a couple of times where he was doing a show in Florida, and I'm doing the show within 5 miles of each other. And then it seems like, for whatever reason, he was there at the casino the night that I was there. And then, you know, whatever happens, but I don't stalk the guy. I'm a fan of his, but I'm not going to go over making him uncomfortable or anything. So I do my thing, and I hope he keeps doing his thing.
Well, that's a heck of a story there, Mike. I'm glad you shared that with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about where we can get some of your music. I mean, I know you have like an official website. Are there any other places like on the streaming platforms you can find you? I mean, tell us everywhere we can find you.
Facebook's a big place for me. Instagram also. but I don't have any original music. I am not a musician to write music. So if you want to hear me, you can either go on to Facebook at tobytribute.com, or I'm sorry, Toby Tribute on Facebook. The website is tobytribute.com. My personal page is my name, but that's my personal page with my family and stuff. Typically don't do that kind of stuff on there, but if you want to hear Toby music, go to truck stops and Walmart and go to the $5 bin and buy the CD, the greatest hits and all that stuff of Toby Keith. I don't sell music at my shows. All of that music is Toby's, and he's the guy. He's the one that does all that. I just try to do the best emulation of it that I can. So if you've never seen Toby in concert and you don't want to go through all the hassle of standing in line and buying $12 beers, come see me. So the best place to do that, tobytribute.com. See all the dates. I do travel across the country. I do have a lot of shows all over the place. I even do some in Canada and Mexico. So that's the best place to do it. And if you follow it on Facebook at the Toby Keith Impersonator page, just type in Toby Keith Impersonator, it'll pop up. I do post dates on there that are, more detailed about prices of tickets and availability and all that stuff. But yeah, those are the primary sources to get information about yours truly.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting ready to play a song here, a video from you. It's obviously it's one of Toby's songs. It's a patriotic song, I do believe. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I believe you're playing American Soldier, which is one of my favorites to perform. Yeah, Toby did it right on that one. He dedicated to the military, and if you go to see Toby in the show, it's usually his encore. He does that one in courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, which is the boot in the ass song that people know that part of it. It's a great thing. My dad actually served in the Navy. He passed away before he saw me do any of my Toby tributes. So during the show, I always wear his dog tags just so he's kind of there with me. And I draw attention to that. And it's the closing of the show, and I'd let people know that, I appreciate all the military and the first responders, and even at this time, the doctors and the nurses that are putting their life on the line to keep everybody else safe. So it's my little part that I try to do. I never served in the military, but my hat's off to all those men and women that are brave enough to do that. So yeah, American Soldier is a great song. I love performing it. Okay.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second, but I think that's about all we really need for now, Mike, and we want to thank you for coming on the show. Maybe one time if you, want to do something else for the show, maybe we'll have you back on sometime.
Sounds great. Appreciate it very much, Paul. And hey, if you got a red Solo cup, proceed to party.
Okay. All right. Well, let's check out American Soldier by Mike Sugg as Toby Keith right now on Paul Mash TV. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
I do want to take a moment, get serious, and say thank you very much for the military, the Army, the Navy, Air Force, Marines. I'm going to dedicate this next song to those men and women that are brave enough to run in when everyone else is running out. So this song's dedicated to them. I'm just trying to be a father, raise a daughter and a son, be a lover to their mother, everything to everyone. Up and down bright and early, I'm all business in my suit. Yeah, I'm dressed up for success, from my head down to my boots. And I don't do it for the money, there's bills that I can't pay. I don't do it for the glory, I just do it anyway. Providing for our futures, my responsibility. Yeah, I'm real good under pressure, being all that I can be. I can't call it sick on Monday when the weekend's been too strong. I just work straight through the holidays, sometimes all night long. You can bet that I stand ready when the wolf growls at the my shows. He unfortunately passed away before he could see me do my Toby Keith tribute. So that's my dedication to him and all the other men and women of the armed forces. So thank you very much for your service.